Years ago, when I was working as a paramedic, I was in my 40s and we were transferring a man to a larger hospital for some tests, and he was in the later stages of prostate cancer. And I had transferred him many times, so we did a lot of talking. I guess you could say we got to know each other. One day, we were talking to each other in the back of the ambulance. He was on the stretcher and I was on the squad bench. And he reached out and he grabbed my wrist. And the cancer had wasted away a lot of his body, but even with his skinny arm, he had a surprisingly strong grip. And he looked at me straight in the eye and he said, "Get checked. Have you been checked?" And he wouldn't let go. And he said, "Promise me you'll get checked." Of course, what he meant was a digital examination checking the prostate gland. He told me he wished he would have, but he didn't. He didn't like the thought of someone putting a finger up his rectum, so he didn't get checked for prostate cancer or any other problems. He just never went for a medical checkup because of this fear. He avoided them. Now he's telling me the finger up his butt would have been nothing compared to what he was going through to treat his cancer. And he told me if he hadn't been so stubborn and got checked, they probably would have caught the cancer early. He said that was the biggest mistake he ever made in his whole life. Now, when a person like him in his situation, who is basically dying, is telling you this face to face, you listen. I think most of us know this, but so many people don't do it. And I'm talking about intelligent, knowledgeable people, and they don't go for routine medical checkups. Now, here's what I mean. Fast forward 25 years and I'm hiking with several friends. Now, we've been friends for over 40 years and we were talking about, you guessed it, aging and staying fit and active. And I told them I have another medical checkup happening soon. And they said, "What's wrong?" I replied, "Hopefully nothing. I get one every year." And I asked them if they were getting regular checkups. And they said, no, they haven't had one. They never do. They only go to the doctor when they think there's something wrong. I was literally shocked. These are active, healthy, intelligent people who take pride in their fitness. And they're telling me they don't go for routine medical checkups. After I politely told them that's not a smart way to go through life, they finally went for one. Luckily, there weren't any serious issues. So where am I going with this? Here's the point. Medical checkups can spot problems well before they become real big problems. There are so many conditions that don't show themselves until the condition is in the later stages. Many types of cancer, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease are just a few of the problems that may not show themselves until later stages. Here's some other reasons why it's smart to get regular medical checkups. High blood pressure. They will test your blood pressure. Also, high blood pressure is also called the silent killer, and for a good reason. In many cases, it may not give you any warnings that there may be a serious problem. High blood pressure can put added stress on the heart, which can lead to serious, even deadly heart conditions. The high blood pressure can burst a blood vessel in your brain, causing a stroke. Now you have big problems. Diabetes. You can be walking around without knowing you have unsafe sugar levels. A simple blood test can detect diabetes, and diabetes has to be treated. Now, this may be done by just a changing your diet, or you may need medication, or both. Now, without a checkup and blood test, you may not know you have a problem until you end up in the emergency department. High cholesterol levels. You won't know you have high cholesterol levels without a blood test. And here's why it's so bad. High cholesterol can build up plaque inside the arteries, reducing the blood flow, especially to the heart and the brain. Now, this will starve the cells that are downstream of the blockage of the oxygen and the nutrients which are carried in your blood. Also, pieces of this plaque that it can build up in your arteries and can break off and start floating along inside your blood vessels. Now, your blood vessels eventually get smaller and smaller and smaller, and this chunk of plaque eventually lodges inside the blood vessel, and it can work like a dam. The cells downstream are starved for the oxygen. Now you have a big problem. If this happens in your brain, you're probably having a stroke. If it happens in your heart, you're probably having a heart attack. Early detection is so important in these situations. Diet and/or medication can reduce your cholesterol levels to safe levels. But you have to have medical tests to see what your levels are. You just can't go on the internet and do your own research and guess about your situation. So get yearly medical examinations. Cancer, whether it's breast, cervical, or colon cancer, early detection can certainly change the outcome. Learn the early signs and symptoms and never hesitate to get professional advice. With many cancers, it may not be obvious until you're in the later stages. And that's why routine screening can be so important. For example, colonoscopies save lives, but a lot of people won't get them because they're afraid. But boy, if you're having something growing in there that shouldn't be, you want them to take it out and see if it's cancerous as soon as possible. It's not a big deal. They load you up with some drugs, and you can even watch the whole process. I know I did, but hopefully you get a clean bill of health after one. Bone density screening. This can detect weak and brittle bones, hopefully before you break one. Diet and medications can help, but you have to know that you have a problem first, and testing can do this. On your physical checkup, they may also ask questions about your smoking, your alcohol intake, your weight if you're overweight, and gently remind you that those conditions are unhealthy and they could cause serious, if not life-threatening problems later on. These are just a few of the conditions and situations your doctor may look for in a yearly physical examination. So here's the point. Early detection of medical problems can save your life. So make sure you get routine medical checkups and ask your doctor for their advice on how often you should have one.
Thanks for watching. Now, if you found value in these videos, please like and subscribe to the channel. Also, feel free to share it with someone who you think may benefit from it, maybe your parents. And I'd love to hear your comments on how I can make better videos and the topics you would like to see.